Welcome to RPRA's consultation on the proposed 2026 excess soil program fees. My name is Julia, and I'm a communications advisor here at RPRA, and I'll be your moderator for today's session. In this webinar, we will communicate the proposed 2026 excess soil program fees and how RPRA develops those fees. We'll be pausing during the presentation to answer questions, and we'll take more questions at the end of the session as time allows. To ask a question, please use the Q&A tab. Type your question and hit send. Everyone can see your questions, and you can upvote any question you want us to answer first. We'll do our best to answer as many questions as possible during this webinar, but if we don't get to your question, please email us at consultations@rpra.ca. Please note the session is now being recorded. The recording and presentation slides will be available later today on our website and YouTube channel. Now I'll hand it over to Stacey Bowman, Manager of Policy, Research, and Data Analytics here at RPRA, to start the presentation. Thank you.
Thanks, Julia. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for joining us this morning. We're going to present an overview of our proposed 2026 excess soil registry program fees and fee model. I'm going to give you an overview of RPRA, who we are, for those of you who don't know, a bit about our mandate, a brief overview of the whole fee setting process that we go through here at RPRA and the inputs into that process as well. So to start with, we are the Resource Productivity and Recovery Authority. We are a regulator. We're mandated by the provincial government of Ontario, and our mandate is threefold. We support the transition to a circular economy by winding up and transitioning legacy waste diversion programs. That happens under the Waste Diversion Transition Act. And we also enforce the producer responsibility framework under the Resource Recovery and Circular Economy Act. The function, the part of our mandate that is relevant to this audience, is that we also provide a digital reporting service for the excess soil program. We have a different registry as well for the hazardous waste program, and both of those programs run under the Environmental Protection Act as directed by the Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks. And we also publicly report on the overall progress of Ontario towards a circular economy. That includes reporting registry data out to the public via our website. And we do report excess soil registry data via our website. There's a couple of data sets online as of this year that contain all of the data that's been submitted to the excess soil registry since its inception in 2022. It's important to note that we're an administrative authority of the Government of Ontario, so we don't receive government funding at all. We fund our operations solely through fees that are charged to registrants and regulated parties. That's how we recover all of our costs to deliver our mandate. So today's proposal scope is the 2026 excess soil fees and the fee model. We are proposing these 2026 fees in advance of when they will apply. They'll come into effect on January 1st, 2026. We base these fees on our 2026 budget, which is finalized and which you can read in full online as part of our business plan. And we'll be presenting some important financial information from that business plan and budget that will give you some context to the fee rates and fee model for excess soil, and hopefully will help you give some informed feedback to us, which is what this consultation is all about. So a bit about our mandate specifically to implement the excess soil registry. So we are mandated by the MECP, the Minister of the Environment, Conservation and Parks, to establish and maintain this registry. It enables regulated persons to comply with registration and notice filing requirements outlined in the excess soil regulation under the Environmental Protection Act. It also enables the ministry to access those notice filings and the associated data. And there is a public portal as well through which they can access information that is contained in the notice filings. The MECP is responsible for policy and programs related to excess soil and for conducting all compliance and enforcement activities under this regulation. We do not conduct any compliance and enforcement activities. We do not oversee compliance with the excess soil rate regulation. We do administer operate and provide support for the Excess Soil Registry. If you have questions that are related to the regulation or your regulatory obligations, please contact the ministry. We have a ministry email there, mecp.landpolicy@ontario.ca. If you have site-specific questions related to the movement of excess soil, you need to contact the ministry's local district office, local to the site for which your questions relate. If you need help finding that office, you can use the district locator on the ministry's website. The RPRA website does have information about our excess soil registry and how to use it. So that's a great resource. It has FAQs, training materials, and other information. So please visit it, especially if you're new to using the registry. Our consultation process for excess soil fees, and for all program fees, in fact, for all of our programs that we administer, is mandated under our legislative framework. We need to consult on proposed fees for at least 45 days and to post the final fees at least 30 days before they come into effect. We're in the middle of our 45-day consultation. It began on September 29th and it ends on November 13th. You can send your feedback on fee rates and fee models to consultations@rpra.ca anytime up until the end of our consultation period on November 13th. There will also be a recording of this webinar posted to a consultation webpage on our website, and that should be up by the end of today. You'll be able to find the finalized program fees on our consultation webpage as well. And we will be posting also a consultation report, which will summarize all feedback we received during this consultation and also summarize our consideration of that feedback. That will be posted to the website as well on or before December 1st, and you as stakeholders will be notified of that posting. If you have other questions about the consultation process, you can ask us via the email, but you can also visit our webpage. There is a lot of information there for you to intake and to help you provide feedback. So this slide gives you an overview of the three revenue sources that RPRA has. So again, we recover all our costs from fees. We do not have any other source of funding. So the three sources we have of those fees are our producer responsibility program registrants. So that's tires producers, batteries producers, and blue box producers, as well as producers of hazardous and special waste. We also have the registrants who use the excess soil registry, yourself or your stakeholders, and the registrants for the hazardous waste program registry. So we set fees to all parties obligated to register and report through the excess soil registry and hazardous waste registries. And then we also have monthly cost recovery charges that we assess to industry funding organizations, which are bodies that existed under the old waste diversion framework. And they are now winding up, and we oversee those wind ups under the Waste Diversion and Transition Act. So RPRA's program fees support our entire mandate, all of the operations that are required to deliver that mandate. But for this group specifically, excess soil fees support the development and ongoing maintenance of the excess soil registry. They also support the operating of that registry on an ongoing basis and all the support that our staff members provide to excess soil registrants. We also publicly report excess soil registry data on the webpage, and the fees support the delivery of that data. So we have a general fee setting policy at RPRA that gives overall guidance for fee setting, and all fee rates, fee models, and our consultation process must align with this policy. You can find that on our website. For 2026 and years previous as well, we've had 6 main inputs to the fee setting process. So the first input is our annual budget, so our 2026 budget in this case, which you can find in our business plan. That's the large pool of funds that we need to recover in order to operate and fulfill our mandate. We then have a set cost allocation methodology, and that methodology helps us to allocate our full budget to all of our different programs, including excess soil. So excess soil gets an excess soil budget through this cost allocation methodology. We also apply any surplus funds that we may have received during previous years from the windup of those industry funding organizations I mentioned previously. And there's also an adjustment potentially to program budgets to recover any prior year program deficits or to refund prior year surpluses. Each program also has a fee model, and that determines how and what fee payers within each program are going to be charged. And an input into that fee model that's important are estimates of the number of fee payers we expect and the expected amount of material supplied for each program. In this case, it's the volume of excess soil we expect to be registered in 2026. In 2027, there will be another input into this process. It will be adjustments potentially due to the collection of administrative penalties under the RRCEA. For more information about this full process, we have a fees webpage on our website. There's lots of information there, and I encourage everybody to visit it. A lot more detail about our cost allocation methodology and the fee models exist there. So a little bit about that cost allocation methodology. Remember, that's how we distribute our total cost recovery target as an organization, our total budget between all of our programs. The methodology is set to enable the allocation of budget in such a way that we avoid registrants from any one program subsidizing the costs of another program. And the methodology divides the organization's costs into 2 overall categories. Firstly, we have direct costs, and those are the costs attributed to a specific program only. They could include registry portal amortization and interest associated with that. There could be some foundational costs of a registry and interest associated with those. There could be professional fees for projects that benefit a specific program alone, or certain IT or other registry related expenses benefiting a certain program on its own. And the other large bucket of costs are common. Those are those costs that can't be directly attributed to a program. They're either indirect or they're shared services. And these common costs are divided amongst all of our programs using key cost drivers, one of which is the number of registrants, for example, for the excess soil registry program. Or in the case of our producer responsibility programs, it would be the number of producers. It's one of the key cost drivers. So 2 types of common costs. There's indirect costs, which include things like the remuneration of our board, any amortization of debt that isn't related to registry setup, salaries of leadership and certain administration staff, and also office supplies. Shared services costs could include other staff salaries and benefits, services in informational technology and support for those services, and software licenses, for example. There's also an annual contribution to RPRA's contingency reserve that's allocated to each program, and it's allocated based on that program's share of the total budgeted cost recoveries for the year.
Great. Thank you, Stacy. We have just a small break right now. If you have any questions, again, please hit the Q&A tab, and we'll try our best to answer those. At this moment, I don't see any, so that's totally fine. So again, thank you, Stacy, and now I'll hand over to Cameron Perrick, RPRA's Director of Programs and Stakeholder Relations.
Thanks, Julia, and thanks, Stacy, for the great setup. And apologize for my voice; I'm a little bit under the weather. So now that Stacy's established a little more of the background around how we set our fees, I'd like to take this time to review RPRA's 2026 budget, which drives how costs are allocated to each of the programs, as well as talk a little bit more about our expenses in 2026. This is all pulled out of our 2026 business plan, which is posted to the RPRA website. And if you'd like to have a deeper look about what RPRA's up to, and some of our key plan activities and our strategic goals and objectives for the business planning period, it's posted to our website under the corporate documents header under business plans. So, you can consume that when you have time to do so. Just some of the highlights from the business plan. We developed in 2024 in consultation with the ministry and a number of our key stakeholders a strategic plan. In that strategic plan is described 5 strategic goals that will guide RPRA's work to 2030. Those goals are embedded in each one of our subsequent business plans. They include ensuring accessible registry services that provide value to our registrants, effective enforcement that supports waste reduction, and a healthy resource recovery sector. Now, this strategic goal does not apply to the digital reporting service programs where we are a service provider acting on behalf of government, but this is a key goal for us in our role in enforcing Ontario's Resource Recovery and Circular Economy Act and its regulations, so the recycling programs in Ontario. But back to focus on digital reporting services, our goal, our third pillar, these are our 3 main pillars. We ensure trusted and useful public information about resource recovery, waste, and RPRA activities are made available on our website. Now, 2 other more inward-looking goals include ensuring a connected culture where employees can grow and do meaningful work, and ensuring that robust internal systems and processes are in place that remain innovative and adaptable to change. Now, going right into our budget, you can see that we are proposing, or we had proposed and finalized our budget back in September, that we have an increase in our budget from 27.2 million in 2025 to 29.7 million in 2026. Now, this breakdown by program type, and Stacy described some of the programs we oversight, which form the basis for our revenue sources. The investment this year is entirely dedicated to our producer responsibility programs to support the oversight needs, mainly around supporting Ontario's Blue Box program. So we have a $2.63 million increase in the allocation for the producer responsibility programs. That's Blue Box tires, batteries, electronics, hazardous and special products, and lighting. Specific to the digital reporting services, which is of interest to this group, so that's the Excess Soil Registry Program and the Hazardous Waste Program Registry, we're seeing a slight increase in the program allocation, mainly related to level of effort required to support our hazardous waste program. And in terms of our legacy programs, which I'm sure not much interest to folks on this call, but we are winding up the remaining legacy waste diversion programs, and we're seeing, as a result, a decline in revenues, level of effort related to overseeing those programs, and thus decline in program allocation. And all of that decline in revenues will be recovered by the producer responsibility programs. So there's no impact on digital reporting service programs. In terms of RPRA's budget and our itemized expenses, the biggest increase is in salaries and benefits from 25 to 26. Again, entirely related to our Blue Box program. These are direct costs borne by Blue Box program registrants. So that increase in salaries and benefits does not have an impact on our excess soil registrants. I do want to highlight one decrease in spending year over year, which is our contribution to our reserve recovery and RCA startup recovery. So we're planning on ramping down those contributions by approximately $500,000. That's in light of that's a lever we can pull to provide relief to our ratepayers given the current economic conditions. So we've chosen to take that mitigation measure. No, just a visualization. We are really a people-focused organization. This is where the majority of our costs are in salaries and benefits, followed by our registry and IT costs. Those are the portals that we've built and operate to support your reporting of your regulatory requirements and the amortization of those upfront costs form our third largest expense. Now, we've just pulled out a few key planned activities that are described in our 2026 business plan. There's an error on the screen there, so we'll have to adjust that before we post these materials. If you'd like to take a deep dive into our business plan, we describe all of our key planned activities for the upcoming year, but these are specific to our digital reporting services, or at least have impacts on our digital reporting service registrants. So one of our key planned activities is to increase the accessibility and impact of our publicly reported registry data for both registrants and the public. We have an excess soil page under our public reporting header where you can find information about the program in accessible formats. And we encourage you to provide your feedback on whether that data is helpful and how we can enhance it. So we're always looking for that kind of that feedback because we want to make sure this data is as useful to you as possible. We plan to develop and implement a RPRA mission-focused awareness and outreach strategy to support compliance and register needs. So this is across all programs. We know that RPRA is a new organization for many of the regulated community under the excess soil regulations. So we need to get out there and make sure folks understand their requirements and how to fulfill those requirements by reporting into our excess soil registry. We also plan to consult on a fee methodology and on our current fee methodology, implement recommendations. This is work that is ongoing. We've just begun. We'd like to have a look at how we set our fees and make sure they make sense for ourselves and for our registrants. And we will consult registrants in 2026 on any recommended changes. And we plan to implement cost-effective process and technology enhancement opportunities. So where there are opportunities to make our registry work better for our registrants, we're open to feedback. And if enhancements make sense, then we'll explore opportunities to implement. Okay. As Stacy described, we have a number of programs that RPRA supports, a number of different revenue sources, and we need to allocate our budget accordingly. Our budget is divided up based on level of effort to support each of the programs. Our largest program, being Blue Box, picks up the greatest share of the RPRA budget, followed by our hazardous waste program. And you can see there our excess soil program picks up approximately 4% of RPRA's budget. That's directly related to the direct cost to implement or to build the excess soil portal, as well as the costs associated with supporting our registrants in fulfilling their compliance obligations. In terms of program surpluses and deficits, year over year, we may over-collect in terms of what we planned, our revenue requirement based on our estimates. We may under-collect. So each program surplus is specific to that program. If we find that we do have surplus or a deficit in a given program, those amounts are applied to the cost recovery target 2 years after they occur, and they may be applied over a span of 1 or more years, with the goal of minimizing annual fee fluctuations for the program. So overall, RPRA is proposing to apply approximately 1.4 million in prior year surplus to reduce the 2026 producer responsibility fees, leaving it bad. So this is not applicable for you guys. I'm going to just jump down right to the highlighted bullet, which is related to the excess oil program deficit. This program is currently in the process of recovery, startup deficit, which is forecast to be 2.2 million by the end of this year. That continues to need to be recovered. 0.8 million is proposed to be applied to the program's budget in 2026, and we plan to continue to recover that deficit over 2027 and 2028, at which point at the end of 2028, we are anticipating that this deficit will be paid off. So on to the revenue requirements for each program, and I'd like to draw the audience attentions to each of the columns. We've got the 2025 program allocation. So for excess soil, we anticipated that this program would cost RPRA $1.1 million to support. We have applied the deficit recovery of close to $800,000, leaving us with a recovery target of 1.9 million in 2025. So moving on to 2026, we feel that the program will cost approximately the same amount, 1.1 million. Similar to last year, we're planning on recovering approximately 800,000 in the program deficit, leaving us with a recovery target of 1.8 million. In terms of the year-over-year impacts, we are anticipating that it's relatively flat, but a slight decrease in overall recovery target, $66,000 less in recovery target year over year for the excess oil program. Now, what's driving that revenue requirement? Well, we're seeing a decline in direct expenses slightly. There weren't many in 2025, and there aren't many in 2026. And that's mainly due to the fact that we're trying to recover a deficit right now and limit direct expenses related to this program to reduce the impact on ratepayers for the excess oil program. We do see a slight increase in shared expenses. This is related to inflationary effects. So RPRA's budget is increasing as it relates to the cost of inflation. I know that that's higher than or 10% is higher than the rate of inflation, but there are other shared costs that all of our program registrants are paying for, and the excess oil program picks up a piece of that. We also have a decline in, as I've noted, the amount that this program will be contributing to RPRA's startup and operating reserve. And that's, as I mentioned, a choice that RPRA is able to make to reduce the impact on our registrants, given the current economic conditions. And our deficit recovery remains relatively flat. We're proposing to recover 760,000 in program deficit in this year's recovery target, the revenue requirement, sorry. And as I've noted, the revenue requirement is more or less flat, but slightly less than 2025 at 1.87 million required to support this program. Now, how does that impact fees? I'm going to pause here before I get into the fee rates and see if there are any questions. Where can we see the proposed fees? Okay, maybe I'll just get right into it then. So how does the revenue requirement impact your fees? So before I get into the fee rates, just a bit of an overview on the fee model, which we are not proposing any changes to. There are 3 different types of notice filings and 3 different types of fees charged related to the excess soil registry. We have our project area notices, that's the movement of excess soil, our reuse site notices, that's the operation costs associated with operating a soil reuse site, and the operation of a residential development soil depot or RDSD. Registrants must pay fees based on filing a complete notice for the above three activities, and an adjustment or refund is required or provided if upon completion of the project, the registrant records a final soil volume that is different from the volume recorded in the initial filing. So once you finalize your filing, there'll be a true-up. RPRA's fee model for excess soil, consistent with prior years, assesses tiered flat fees for RDSD and reuse site notices, as well as project area notices for soil quantities less than 2,000 meters cubed. Project area notices for soil quantities more than 2,000 meters cubed are assessed a fee tied to volume, and fee rates are assigned to the tiers tied to each project's size. We are proposing a fee rate increase for the excess soil program in 2026. The increase is proposed to be a 40% increase. Now, this increase is required because filings of project area and reuse site notices for projects generating or accepting soil quantities greater than 50,000 meters cubed are expected to decline. 2025 notice numbers and registered soil volume for the larger fee tiers is trending below 2025 predictions. So in a little more clear terms, we're anticipating the same amount year over year in costs associated with this program, but we have less filings to spread that cost across. So we do need to continue to recover our costs and as well as recover the deficits associated with the program, but we have less tons reported, and that's what we're projecting for 2026 as well. So the 40% increase proposed ensures a greater portion of the program's revenue requirement can be recovered from lower soil volumes. So again, just repeating what I've just explained. So in terms of the actual fee rates, our kind of smallest projects, for example, a backyard pool, soil volumes under 2,000 meters cubed, we're proposing a 5% increase. So that's consistent with all of our small ratepayers across all of our programs. Specific to the producer responsibility programs, the smallest fee rate is increasing from $95 to $100. The rest of the fee rates all increase by 40%. So our small to medium scale projects, so those 2,000 to 10,000 meters cubed, are increasing from 13 cents to 18.2 cents. Our small infill development and linear infrastructure projects, so 10,000 meters cubed to 50,000 meters cubes, are increasing from 16.3 cents to 22.8. Condo, townhome development, smaller commercial industrial projects that 50,000 to 100,000 meters cube range is increasing from 31.2 cents to 43.7 cents. And our two largest tiers, the new subdivisions, large scale industrial commercial development, and subway lines, transit lines. So the first category is the 100,000 to 500,000 meters cubed. Those fees are going up to 54.6 cents. And our largest projects, those notice filings above 500,000 meters cubed, those are increasing from the flat fee of $195,000 to $273,000 for a filing of that size. In terms of our reuse sites, as noted, these are flat fees, but tiered by reuse site size, so how much soil that site is anticipated to receive. So the first category of reuse site, 10,000 to 50,000 meters cubed, is increasing to 4,636. I'm not going to read off all the slides. Folks can see that, but as you can see, it's consistently applied across all of the tiered flat fee categories, 40% increase across the board. And our RDSD filings, so residential development soil depot filings, are also increasing from $1,100 to approximately $1,500 per filing. I'm sure we'll have questions about this, so we'll get to the questions, but I did want to take some time to note some other updates related to billing and invoicing that RPRA has made that will take effect in 2026. So RIPRA has always had the authority to charge late fees, but we have not chosen to action that authority. But we have now created the functionality in a registry system to charge late fees. So effective January 1st, 2026, we will be charging a 1.5% administrative charge on all late payments. Related to user experience enhancements, we've heard from you, from registrants across all of our programs, that there's opportunities to improve how you are notified about your billings, as well as how you pay your invoices. So I'm just going to list off a few of the changes that are planned to take effect in November 2025. So we've made improvements to the user experience in the billing and invoicing portal inside our registry. Registrants are now able to view and pay outstanding balances and request refunds for credit balances. This is more just user experience. You now have the ability to pay total outstanding invoices in each program at once. So if you have multiple notice filings and multiple invoices in your account, you'll be able to see them all listed out and be able to bulk them together and pay just one single invoice associated with a number of different filings associated with your account. We've also enabled new fields so you can indicate an accounts payable user. We've heard feedback that those completing the filings are not always the ones paying the invoices, and to make it easier to get make it more efficient to get that information to your accounting or finance department, you're able to list that contact inside your registry account now, or as of November. You also have the ability to save a preferred payment method for easy use in the future, including an enhanced direct debit payment method. So just we've heard that folks would like the flexibility to pay their invoices using different payment methods. So we've included direct debit as well as saving your preferred payment method, so you don't have to go through that step each time you're paying a RPRA invoice in a registry. And finally, this is more related to our Hasways program, but folks on this call may also be enrolled in that program. Lots of transactions each day associated with that program. So we've created the functionality for an auto pay for those program registrants. Okay, so we really appreciate the time today. We're going to get to some questions live. But if you do have any questions about the proposal or would like to provide your feedback, your kind of formal submission of feedback, we encourage you to do so via consultations@rpra.ca. Every piece of feedback we receive will be considered in our decision making when we make recommendations to our board later this year to set the 2026 fee rates. And those final 2026 program fees and a consultation report summarizing feedback received during the consultation and how RPRA considered the feedback, that'll all be posted to RPRA's website on or before December 1st. And all stakeholders that participated in this consultation will be notified of the posting of those fee rates and the availability of the consultation report. This consultation period runs to November 13th, 2025. And again, we encourage you, if there are things you don't understand about the proposal, we're happy to talk through them, set up one-to-one meetings with registrants or industry stakeholders. That's definitely an option to help you understand the proposal and help inform your formal submission of feedback. So we encourage you to reach out. So before we get to some of those questions that are sitting in the Q&A area of the webinar, I'm going to hand it back over to Julia to run a quick survey to get some feedback about the delivery of today's webinar.
Great. Thank you, Cam. So before we do start the Q&A, I do see a couple of questions that have come in. I'm just going to launch a quick poll. So we include this in all our webinars to gather your feedback and help us improve future sessions. The poll will stay open until the webinar ends, so please take a moment to respond when you can. So I'm just going to launch it right now. So that should just come up on your screen. So if you have a moment to do so, that would be great. Now I'll hand it back over to Cam and Stacy to answer some questions. Thank you.
Thanks, Julia. I'm going to take the first question here. Thanks, Grant. And I'm going to read it out. And so Grant says, this business model is not sustainable. What can the stakeholders do to assist in getting these fees leveled out? The users compliant are growing wary of being hit with all the fees over the non-client. So I think there are a few things. One is that this is a new program. It's challenging to estimate the level of activity that's going to take place in the registry as well as the general fall in as we continue to operate the excess sole registry, we'll get more data, and our hope is that our estimates will be become more accurate. That said, this industry is not necessarily predictable. Economic impacts south of the border or here at home do impact the level of construction activity or development that is going to go on year to year. So I guess what can stakeholders do? We encourage you to reach out. I think many of you know how to reach me directly, but we can make connections if you reach out via our consultations at RPRA.ca email address. Industry insights are very helpful to ensure that we make the most accurate predictions of notice filings, because that really does drive the fee rates. A little bit of history as well. Due to the impacts of, when we originally built the registry, which was a sunk cost, we had anticipated a certain level of activity, which has not been realized, in part due to some of the regulatory amendments that have been made since the start of the project and the program. But what I can say is that we continue to recover the deficit, which is planned to be fully recovered by the end of 2028, and that will help to bring fee rates down, not recovering a deficit every year, and just paying for the service provided in year. But again, I would say, yeah, the second part of your comment is about compliant registrants paying for those who are non-compliant. RPRA continues to create awareness about program requirements. And as the ministry, as we heard at the recent Excess Sole Symposium, I'm sure many of those on the line attended, enforcement activity is happening, and non-compliant actors are beginning to better understand the requirements and come in to file notices. And RPRA's job is to make sure that when folks do reach us, there are the resources available to understand how to register, what is needed to report, and make that process as streamlined as possible. Okay, so we've got another question. So thanks, Grant, and thanks, Matt, for your question here. What impact does RPRA expect these rate increases will have on the use of the excess sole registry in compliance with Ontario's excess sole regulations? It's a tricky question. I think we can't really predict whether these fee rate increases will impact someone's. It's not really a choice whether they file with us or not. These are regulatory requirements, and those who have obligations in Ontario to file notices, they must do that in compliance with the regulations, and do that through reporting into our excess sole registry. So we don't have any further questions. I'm just doing a quick time check. We've got a few minutes, so I'm going to let folks absorb the content that was presented today, and think about some of the questions asked. If you don't answer or ask a question today, we encourage you to reach out through consultations at RPRA.ca. Okay, so we've got another question. Thanks,
I
Min.
can I can
Is
take
there a
that
plan?
question, Cam,
Oh,
if
that's
you
great.
want.
Go for it,
Just
Stace.
give you give you a chance to like swallow.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay, so thanks, Min. Min's question is there a plan to transition to a prorated fee schedule in the future? Under the 2026 fee schedule, the project area notice fee more than tripled between 2,000 meters cubed and 2,000 meters cubed. So that the end of that, I'm assuming it more than tripled. So perhaps you're referring to the smallest tier of fees. I'm not too sure, but I can answer the first part of your question by saying that we, as Cam mentioned, are about to undergo a big process to review our fee setting methodology and models for all of our programs, and excess soil is certainly a part of that. So the challenges of resourcing, the oversight, the development and ongoing maintenance of the registry and the provision of support to registrants with this fee model will be part of that review. So proration can be included as part of the things that we discuss and assess as potential changes. But I would just say, as an organization, we're aware of the trickiness of this fee model and our challenges in recovering costs for this program. So we hope to be addressing those difficulties head on throughout this review. And for 2027, the results of that review will be put into play for 2027 fees.
Thanks, Stacy. We've got another question. Are you working with the ministry to increase enforcement and awareness, which should assist with registrations? In terms of decisions around the compliance enforcement approach, that is solely left to the ministry. That said, we are collaborating on education and awareness. We recently held a municipal outreach session that was, we feel, quite successful in reaching that stakeholder group. And for folks in the industry, if there are other sectors that you're willing to share with us that could benefit from targeted outreach, we'd love to hear that. And yes, we're definitely moving in step with the ministry to ensure folks are aware of the regulations, are aware of RPRA and the XSO registry and how to come into compliance. So yes, that work is happening, but again, industry insights are very helpful, so please don't hesitate to reach out and share information if you're able. All right, I don't see any other questions coming in. Just want to thank everyone for your time today. Again, I've left the slide up purposely. We're very interested in your feedback on the consultation proposal for the 2026 fee rates. And please submit your feedback ahead of the November 13th, 2025 deadline, and we'll have the fees posted by December 1st, which will take effect in January of 2026. So I'll turn it back over to Julia to close out today's webinar.
Great. Thank you, Cam, and thank you, Stacy. Again, thank you everyone for joining us. Again, email your feedback to consultations@rpra.ca on or before November 13th of this year. And that's it for today. So thank you for joining us and have a great day. Thanks, everyone.